welcome back to the Book Cave with me, Jenny. So today I have Throne of Secrets, and this is the sequel to Throne of the Fallen, which I did a vlog on not that long ago. This one is about Prince Gluttony, and I'm definitely excited to meet more of the princes. And yeah, I really did enjoy the first book a lot more than I thought I was going to. And from the little bit I've gotten into this, I'm on page 44. I am enjoying this so far. We open up with dragons, literally on the very first page. They are hunting dragons. So yeah, I just find that really cool, and the fact that they're ice dragons as well. So yeah, this book follows Gabriel Axton, who is the Prince of Gluttony, obviously, and then a reporter named Adriana St. Lucent. And she is basically a gossip reporter, and they have a little bit of a beef going on. She kind of reports scandalous things about Axton, as he prefers to be called. And yeah, he finds it fun to annoy her. So this is going to be as far as you can go and not get any spoilers. I'm going to get into spoilers now, so if you don't want them, just go ahead and click off here, or listen further, and I'll say with each little clip what page and or chapter I'm on. So yeah, as I said, I'm at page 44, which is into chapter 4. This is another dual POV. It switches between him and her. And I find it also very interesting that though he is the Prince of Gluttony, he's not necessarily just gluttonous for food or for women. Like the whole thing with the dragon hunt. He is gluttonous for danger, for adventure. And the same thing with Adriana. She is gluttonous for gossip, basically, and learning these different things about people. So I find that aspect very interesting. And then, much like in the first book, where we had a mystery going on that was affecting this particular circle of hell, in this one it has to do with the dragons. So basically, Gluttony has a deal with the dragons that they and his Hunters Guild will hunt the dragons, and the dragons will hunt them back. However, they will not actually kill. They'll just basically, kind of like in fencing, or sparring, get to a point where, like, the dragon will have his mouth open over your head, but then he stops, and you're out of the hunt. And the same thing, like, I'm not sure how exactly it works with the dragons, because it doesn't really say, like, if they use blunt arrows and stuff. But yeah, so I'm assuming something like that, and the same thing, if the dragon's hit, the dragon then has to drop out. But, so they're doing one of these hunts, and all of a sudden, one of the dragons turns and kills Wrath. But obviously, as we know from the other book, the Princes of Sin cannot be killed like that. He just wound up back in his circle. So obviously, why did this happen? There's all these contracts and stuff to where it won't. It's not supposed to. And apparently what happened is that dragon hunted something that was infected. So now Gabriel has to figure out, what was it? Was it on its own? Did it infect anything else? So on and so forth. I need to protect my circle. And that's one thing that I did like about the first book as well, is I feel like all the princes are very protective of their circles. They want to protect their people, and I really enjoy that. And yet, just the way it's that Kerri Maniscalco writes, she's got just a great writing style. She drops you right into the action, and the scenes are like very vivid. And this is also definitely a good time of the year to be reading this. They are in the furthest north circle, so it's windy and snowing and chilly, and then you got the ice dragons. So yeah, this is definitely winter vibes, and obviously I'm really, really liking it so far. And yeah, I'm definitely going to have to be looking for more of her books. I think I might try and pick up the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy at some point. But yeah, I'm going to get back to reading this and enjoying it, and I will talk to you all later. So I'm now into chapter 8 of Throne of Secrets, and we find out another way Gluttony is gluttonous, and that is he has a club called the Seven Sins Club, and he has literally a room devoted to each one of the 7 deadly sins. So he's even gluttonous for sins. And I just found that very kind of fun. And I have a feeling we're about to hit some big stuff because, shoot, I just completely forgot the name. Adriana is in this club trying to get some information, and we know from the previous chapter that lust and envy are also in the club. And yeah, so it's definitely getting very interesting. I feel like the plot is very engaging, and there's just some really, really good quotes. And so here's one. She's describing this stranger who I'm assuming is either envy, lust, or gluttony. And she says something about his aura shifted along with his posture, his attention suddenly feeling dangerous in the most intriguing way, like standing too close to a seaside cliff as the wind whipped at your limbs, dragging you perilously closer to the edge. Or maybe it was how a mouse felt when a hawk noticed it and realized it was famished. So yeah, I just really enjoy her writing with the little descriptive things like that. And yeah, obviously I highly recommend this, even though I am nowhere near done it. But yeah, I will get back to reading. So I am well into chapter 14 now, but I do have a few more little things to say about chapters 8 and 9 to start with. And so this is where we learn that there's going to be a marriage competition for Gluttony's hand, basically. And there are going to be 7 competitors, 1 from each of the circles. And yeah, that will definitely be interesting, especially since Gluttony is going to have Adriana be the prime reporter for it. And one of the quotes here between them that I love is Gluttony says, "Must you always be so disagreeable?" She says, "No, I suppose I ought to feed your ego like everyone else." And then I did figure out who her masked mystery man is, and it was Gluttony, which I kind of suspected from the way the other 2 showed up that that's who it would be. But yeah. And now I have some spoilers for chapter 11. So that is Gluttony's point of view, and there's now another dragon attack. So I feel like there's really a lot of action in this book. And one of the dragons that attacked is Sylvanus, and he is one of the dragons that Gluttony has raised from a hatchling, and he's obviously infected with something, and it seems like it could be from the witches. So I'm really curious as to that, and I'm thinking that I am going to have to circle back to Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy to understand the full animosity of the witches to the demons. And then Gluttony has another good quote. He says, "We might be wicked, damned things, but we had our own morals." And so I'm hoping that we're going to get a little more of the history of how the 7 realms were made and the Shifter Isles and all that. Because, yeah, I'm just finding this world very, very fun and very, very immersive. And then in Adriana's chapters, we're getting some hints of some stuff that happened between her and Gluttony when she was like 19. But we're not getting the full story, so I'm definitely interested to see what that will be as well. So I'm into chapter 24 now of Throne of Secrets. And as I said earlier, we have the competition for Axton to find a bride. And right now, they are at their bridal, well, the first dinner, the welcome dinner for the 7 contestants. And they are describing how the appetizers were served. And so you have one performer holding skewers of marinated meat in the air like swords. A second spit flames, torching them to perfect medium rare. Yet a third spun plates on a long stick, then tossed them to the young women gathered around. And so then everybody catches the plates. And then yet another performer, he comes around, and it says another performer came around holding a balloon above my plate. He pointed to a bracelet that looked like a pincushion, because it was one. And he says, "Take a needle and pop the balloon." So she does, and the balloon burst, and hot red pepper slices and chopped cilantro rained down over the meat, adding a bright pop of color. It was a feast for the eyes and the mouth. I silently cursed Axton. This over-the-top show wasn't simply to dazzle. It elevated the taste of the food. If he was hoping to impress his potential brides, he damnably succeeded. And I just think it's really kind of cool how, they're taking, okay, he is gluttonous, but he's also gluttonous for, performance. He could have just brought the food out and roasted it over something and seasoned it. But no, he does it with, the balloons and stuff. So I think that's really cool to see this. And then we are getting a little bit with the dragons, but not much. So we're definitely getting more of that from his point of view. Obviously because he knows about it, whereas Adriana just suspects it. And she's still trying to find it out. And I am just about halfway through, maybe a little to either side. But yeah, it's definitely fun, and I am enjoying starting to now see the differences between the different circles, because I felt like at the beginning that Gluttony's circle was kind of really similar to Envy's in a way, because Envy collected a lot of stuff as well, but whereas his was more to, I'm so envious that you have that particular painting or that many paintings. Gluttony's is more, I want to have more paintings and such. So yeah, definitely a very fun series and a very fun book. And I'm hoping to finish this sometime soon. So I just finished chapter 41, and I have to say the baby dragon is pretty cute. I love the way that they describe when he gets away, and then seems so pleased with himself. It's just very funny. And then the way this chapter ends with the fact that Gabriel was able to look into Sylvanus's mind and see that he was like obsessed with Adriana is very interesting. And I'm starting to feel like I maybe should have read the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, because like them talking about their personal curses and stuff, I feel like that might have been explored a little more in that series. But overall, I'm still able to follow it, pretty well, just because of the fact that, they are more or less self-contained and just have, like, characters. However, I did go to the library, and I do have the last book in that series. It was available at the library closest to me, and I put the other two on hold, and they are actually, one of them is already in transit, so that means that they already pulled it off the shelf and it's ready to come to me. And the other one, they just have to pick, and yeah, it'll be a little while before I get to those, so I'm not too worried about it, but I am kind of glad that, hey, they're coming that fast, so I'll be able to pick them up probably like Monday or Tuesday, and hopefully by then I will be finished this, because right now I have just a little over 100 pages to go. So I just finished chapter 43, so I have just about 100 pages to go, but I did find a few very fun quotes, and we also found out some very interesting information. So I'm going to start with the quotes, and this is describing the library that Gluttony has. And it says, in typical House Gluttony fashion, it was a feast created for any book lover to indulge in. Dark, gleaming shelves were filled with leather-bound books, the spines embossed and gilded. The floors were layered with woven rugs, and an excessive number of overstuffed chairs and couches were grouped around a grand fireplace. And so far, I'm just absolutely loving the descriptions of the libraries, at least for House Gluttony. And then in the first book, we got House Sloths. And yeah, I just really love those. And then Adriana finds Gabriel in the library trying to read a book, and he has like wrinkles in his forehead, and so she thinks to herself, a sign he was worried, or that the book he was reading was giving his tiny brain a cramp. I just found that very, very funny. But then we also are now getting a little more information, and I'm surprised that it took really this long for the hexed object to come into play, considering in the first book it was in play within a very few chapters. But now we're finding out that we have the hexed quill, and which had been mentioned before, but it can rewrite memories, and they're basically now saying that, okay, this could be why the dragons are so obsessed with Adriana, because it would have been used to rewrite her and Gluttony's memory of what happened, because they just had a discussion and two very different stories have come out. So we finally find out that the whole reason she hates him is because in her memory they got together, he immediately left her to go and sleep with a Viscountess, and this Viscountess was also the one who basically called her common trash and tried to get her kicked out. However, in Gluttony's recollection, no, he was intrigued by her and wanted to talk to her and everything, but didn't. And he detects no lie from her, and of course he can't lie. So yeah, we're definitely getting some more information here, and I feel like this last 100 pages is kind of going to fly by. So I finally finished Throne of Secrets, and this was pretty fun. I did feel like the romance was a little insta-lovey, though. And, like, yeah, that could have been developed a lot better, in my opinion. But I did feel like the plot was still fun, the setting, the writing, the characters. I just felt like it was fun overall. It wasn't quite as good as Throne of the Fallen. Especially, we get to the ending and the overall conclusion as well, I felt was a little underwhelming with how everything worked out. But I still definitely recommend it, especially if you like Kerri Maniscalco. If you like more of a it's kind of urban fantasy, but kind of also high fantasy because you have this other world, but it's still pretty close to ours. So yeah, I'm going to call it more of an urban fantasy. But yeah, I can definitely recommend it, just with the caveat that this is a little weaker. So that's everything I have for you today in this video. Thank you for watching, and as always, if you like this video, hit like and subscribe, and make sure to click the notification bell, and you'll be notified every time I post something new. I also have an Instagram, Goodreads, Fable, and a Discord. They are all linked in my profile, so just click on my little profile picture if you're interested in any of those, and I will see you next time in the book cave.